readers, in honor of Valentine's Day today, I'm going to be going over my top 10 fantasy book couples of all time. I'm using the term fantasy loosely because I've got a mix of YA, adult, steampunk, and all sorts of genre-y stuff thrown in there. And also, full disclosure, this list is 100% biased because it's just based on my own personal opinion. In case you don't know me, my name is Chris. I do 1-minute book reviews and all sorts of bookish stuff. I also have a couple little critters running around here who may or may not make an appearance. We'll see what happens. Okay, so this list is, of course, only based on books that I've actually read. And I will be talking about them in order of my favorites. So 10 being the worst of the bunch and number 1 being the best of the best. So let's jump in with number 10 of my favorite fantasy couples, which is going to be Edward and Bella from the Twilight series. So I know, grown. Full disclosure, I was always hashtag Team Jacob. But yeah, I mean, Edward and Bella, there are a lot of issues with their relationship, you could say. But at the end of the day, it's a YA book, and it's a very YA romance. And there is something to be said about an undead guy that's totally obsessed with you. I mean, there are some women or men out there who might want a relationship like that. So it's on my list because Edward and Bella are obsessed with each other. Do I think that that's the healthiest romance? No. That's why it's not higher on my list. But it is still a classic boy meets girl story. Boy just happens to be a vampire. There is something romantic in the thought that someone's whole world revolves around you. So, yes, some might say that's creepy, but I do think that there is a little bit of romance to that. So I'm giving this book the benefit of the doubt, saying it's not creepy, it's romantic, and that is why Edward and Bella are number 10 on my list. But if you were looking for more of an adult vampire romance, then number 9 on my list is going to be Sookie and Eric from the Sookie Stackhouse books, aka the True Blood series. So, again, don't at me if you're a fan of Bill because, well, Bill sucks. Sorry. Not sorry. So, if you're not familiar, we have Sookie Stackhouse. She's a cute, perky, blonde cocktail waitress who just happens to be able to hear other people's thoughts, except for vampires. And then we have Eric. Eric is sexy, he's cool, but he's also kind of an asshole. But he's not an asshole to Sookie, and that's really the thing that matters here. Sookie and Eric have a very much on again, off again, up and down type relationship throughout the series. But there is just something about them together that is just so cute. I love that no matter what he says or no matter how he acts, Eric is always there to protect Sookie, even when she doesn't want it, but he is always there to protect her and he would never let anything bad happen to her. So he's loyal, he's reliable, and did I mention he's sexy? Because he is. So I like their relationship a lot more than Edward and Bella, which is why they are higher on my list. It probably has a lot to do with the fact that I like Sookie and Eric better as characters than Edward and Bella. But that's like a whole another conversation for another day. So again, I'm sticking with my vampire stories here with number 8, which is Diana and Matthew from A Discovery of Witches. So here we go again. We have another vampire meets girl story, and this one, the girl happens to be a witch. Like a crazy powerful one. I like Diana and Matthew because their relationship seems a lot more mature than Edward and Bella, and also it's not as up and down and all around crazy as Sookie and Eric. Like, once they decide that they're going to be together, Diana and Matthew, that's it. They're together. Through thick and thin, through everything that is thrown at them, and unfortunately, they do have a lot of stuff that is thrown at them throughout this series. There are a lot of outside forces that are trying to tear these two apart because witches shouldn't be with vampires, but the strength of their love and their bond helps them get through a lot of those obstacles. So that is why Diana and Matthew are on my list, and I promise this is my last vampire girl relationship that I'm going to mention. So let me move on to number 7. So number 7 is Magnus Bane and Alec Lightwood from Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunter novels. In case you're not familiar with them, Magnus is an immortal warlock, and Alec is a Shadowhunter. Shadowhunters are basically a race of enhanced humans who are there to protect the human world from demons and other such creatures. So the reason that I love these two and their relationship so much is the way that they complement one another. So Magnus is an extrovert. He's very loud and boisterous and flamboyant and over the top. And then you have Alec, on the other hand, who is more introverted. He's more calm and quiet and subtle. So, and yet these two men were able to find each other despite all of their differences. So I feel like Magnus was missing a piece in his life, and he found it in Alec. Alec is able to keep him calm when he needs to be calm and not over the top. And then on the flip side, Alec, because he is so quiet and introverted, Magnus helps bring out a boisterousness in him, helps him see life in a different way than he hadn't seen it before. So Alec was just missing some energy and pizzazz, and that's what Magnus brings to his life. So I'm so glad that these two guys found each other and that they fell in love. There's a lot of Magnus and Alec throughout all of the Shadowhunter novels, and every time I see them, they're just so cute together. They're just so adorable. You can't help but fall in love with their love, and if you've read these stories, you definitely know what I mean. So that was number 7. Lost count for a minute. So number 6 of my favorite fantasy book couples is going to be Karu and Akiva from the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. Again, the romance in this story is just a small piece of the overall story, but what a piece it is. Because Karu, who is a young girl living in Prague at the beginning of the story, we find out that she's actually a reincarnated chimera. So her own people basically tried to kill her, or did kill her, because she fell in love with one of their enemies. She literally died for her love. Both her and Akiva both died for each other. It sounds a little dramatic. Well, it is. As it says in the story, an angel and a demon fell in love. It did not go well. So this is kind of gives me a very Romeo and Juliet vibe. The whole, dying for each other. We have two people who are on different clans, opposite sides of a war. Their people are enemies. They're supposed to hate each other. But yet they fell in love anyway. So Karu and Akiva were able to find each other and fall in love despite their differences. And then they were killed for it. How crazy is that? Also, how romantic. Sad, but also romantic. If they were able to put aside their differences and find love with each other, then maybe the rest of their kind will be able to do so someday. You'll have to read the series to find out what happens, though. So that was number 6. Number 5. My number 5 favorite fantasy couple is going to be Alexia Terabati and Lord Conal Macan, or it could be Macan. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Gail Carringer, you'll have to let me know. From the Soulless series by Gail Carringer. So, because of the fact that this is the type of fantasy, their relationship definitely gives me like Elizabeth Bennet, Mr. Darcy vibes, Pride and Prejudice. So we have Alexia. She's a strong-willed woman, and she's also known as something called a preternatural. So that means she basically has the ability to negate any other supernatural's powers. In other words, if you were a vampire and Alexia was to touch you, you would no longer be a vampire for as long as she was touching you anyway. And then we have Lord Conal Macan, who is a werewolf. And not just any werewolf, he is the head of the London Pack. if you are someone that likes big, burly men, but who are really big, like softies underneath, well, this is for you. Makon, he's big, he's loud, he's burly, he's a real man's man, to put it lightly. But underneath all that, he meets his match with Alexia, because she's basically just like him in female form. So Alexia's family wants her to be like a proper lady and settle down and all that stuff, but Makon doesn't want that. He wants a big, strong-willed woman, and that's Alexia. So I like that the two of them are both very brash, but they both complement each other as well. They're not opposites, kind of like Magnus and Alec are. They're more two peas from the same pod. So again, we have two characters here in this story that I love independently, so when they're together, I just love them even more. I mean, not only do they accept each other again as who they are, but I feel like the longer they're together, they actually do change each other in small ways. Not because they're forcing each other to change, just because as their relationship grows, they grow with it, and that's really cool to see. They do go through a couple of misunderstandings, which is why they're not higher on my list, but hey, every couple has its issues, right? So, number 4, speaking of some issues, there's some issues in this one, and that is Lazlo and Sorry from Strange the Dreamer. So, again, in case you're not familiar with this tale, Lazlo is a young librarian. He's looking for adventure. He gets called to this mysterious far-off land to investigate a mystery there. And there he meets Sorry, who's basically a blue-skinned goddess who secretly enters other people's dreams at night when she releases a mouthful of moths. So yeah, she releases all these moths from her mouth, and they float down to the little town, and they land on people's heads, and then she can enter their dreams and spy on them, because no one knows that she's there, and no one knows that she's doing this. At least until Lazlo shows up. So when Lazlo sees this little blue-skinned girl in his dreams, what does he do? He's not scared. He is amazed. So these two fall in love little by little through Lazlo's dreams. I mean, first of all, how romantic does that sound? So every night they get to see each other, spend a little bit more time together, learn about each other's dreams and all that stuff. Because when they're in the dream, not only can Lazlo see Sorry, but Sorry can also see Lazlo for who he really is as well. Because most people see Lazlo as this, kind of quiet, nerdy little librarian, but that's not true at all. And Sorry sees him for who he really is, just like he sees her. I mean, he's literally like one of the only people that can actually physically see her. So Lazlo thinks that she's beautiful. He thinks that her moths are beautiful, that her power is beautiful. He thinks everything about her is beautiful. And again, their romance is just one piece of this overall story, but it's an amazing piece. Again, like I said, we have a couple who love each other because they see each other for who they really are. Like, it sounds like that's such a simple concept, loving someone for who they are, but unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way sometimes. There's also, like I said, a big theme in this book about being seen, both like literally and metaphorically, because like I said, for Sorry, most people don't actually see her. She's alone where she is, and she can see other people's dreams, but no one can actually see her. So I feel like on some level, even though, yes, this is a YA story, I feel like there's a lot of elements to their relationship that can be relatable to someone of any age. So, like I said, for a YA story, they are one of the best couples that I've ever seen. No pun intended. Well, actually, no, that was intended. Yep. All right, so moving on to my top 3. And number 3, my third favorite fantasy couple of all time is Princess Buttercup and Westley from The Princess Bride. I mean, this is a classic fairy tale romance. It doesn't get much more classic than this. Oh, we have two characters who like barely know each other, have barely said more than a few words to each other. As you wish, that's pretty much all he's ever said, right? And yet, they fall in love. They're in love. I mean, this is love at first sight, which can often be annoying, but because these two are just so cute and so sweet, I mean, how can you not want them to be together? Wesley himself says, "This is true love. You think that happens every day?" I mean, this couple and this book are on my list just for the catchphrases alone. Like I said, as you wish. And if you've seen the movie, there's a bunch of other good ones too. But Wesley will do whatever it takes to get back to his princess, and he never gives up. He never gives up on her. He never gives up on their love. And that's the power of love for you. Again, very much a fairy tale romance, but it's a classic, so I felt that it deserved to be not only on the list, but high up on my list. So now we're getting to the top two. I had a little bit of a hard time deciding between 1 and 2, but ultimately I decided that my second favorite fantasy book couple of all time was Richard and Kahlan from the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. So from the moment that these two characters met on the page, you just knew that they were going to be together. Throughout the entire series, throughout their whole journey, throughout the whole series, their love never falters. Never. Their love is tested multiple times by multiple people, but Richard never falters in his love for Kahlan. His love for her is absolute and complete, and there is no way that anyone would come between them. He completely trusts her, he's devoted to her, and his love for her has actually saved him on multiple occasions. And Kahlan, her love for Richard is so strong that it literally helps her overcome her own insecurities. Again, we have a strong, independent female character and a man who totally accepts her for the powerful woman that she is. Like, he will be there if she needs someone to lean on, he will be there. They are a great example of what total devotion can look like for two people who are deeply in love, who are mature, and who complement each other. I feel like I've said that a lot, but again, they're still powerful in their own right. It's just that they're even more powerful together because of the power of their love. The only reason why that they are not number 1 and they're only number 2 is because number 1 has a little bit more of a deep, complex love as opposed to Richard and Kahlan, who are a little bit more innocent, I guess, and you'll understand what I mean by that in a minute, because my number 1 favorite fantasy couple of all time is phedreandjoscelin from Kushiels Dart by Jacqueline Carey. First of all, Phedre is a very special character in her own right. If you're not familiar with this epic fantasy, Phedre is basically blessed, or cursed you could say, by a god to forever experience pleasure and pain as one. So in a world where courtesans and those people are praised and exalted by society, Phedre is still very special indeed. It would take me a whole nother video to explain the intricacies of this series and just how beautiful Phedre's story is, and it's also very sexy as well. But the sex is just a small piece of a very larger puzzle. So ask yourself, do you think that you could be with someone like Phedre, fall in love with someone who needs pain to experience pleasure? Not only does it as a job, but does it as a way of life. Well, enter Joscelin. Joscelin may not have liked Phedre at first or what she does, but once he came to know her as a person, he couldn't help but fall in love with her. And the thing that makes Joscelin the perfect partner for Phedre is that he never tries to change her. He understands who she is, and he doesn't try to change that. So if Phedra occasionally needs to go spend time with someone else because she needs something specific that Joscelin can't give her, he would never hold that against her. He loves her for who she is, and that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, that is the type of love that some people can only dream about. I mean, this series does such a good job separating sex from love. And while that may sound strange to some people, I promise you, if you read this book and this series, you will understand what I am talking about. It is just so beautiful, so beautifully written. So it's just beautiful. I can't explain it even more. And it'll make you fall in love with them too. So I don't think I've ever seen a better, more healthy relationship that I have between Phedra and Joscelin. So that is why they are my #1 fantasy book couple of all time. So there you have it, my totally biased and opinionated top 10 fantasy book couples of all time. I'm sure there are a lot of great other couples out there that I just haven't read yet. So if you think that I've missed one, please let me know about it in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know to do more. As always, thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any bookish videos in the future. All right, everyone, happy reading.